racing since I was 6. I then went pit bike racing, and then just basically I got a 125, 300, and last year I raced a steel frame 600 at Thundersport. I was second in the championship in the end. It came down to the last race. There was next to no points in it at the end of the year, but I'd been leading all year. 30 races, 30 podiums. But there isn't much else to me other than motorbike racing. I don't do anything else. It's my life.
That's an incredible record. 30 races, 30 podiums. That's fantastic.
Yeah, if I'd have managed to win, I'd have been the first woman to win a national championship, a national 600 championship in the history of the ACU.
That's. But to be fair, you didn't do bad overall. No, it was the
last race. I just got pipped in the last race.
Denise Dal Zotto, and I'm an Italian rider, and I'm racing in the Junior Supersport.
And what's your background?
What?
Your history in the sport.
Oh,
how
okay.
did you get here? Don't say you flew. I'm not having that.
Okay. I have started to riding a mini moto at 2 years old in my garden, and I started going in the track at 9 years old because I have seen Valentino Rossi on the TV. I look my mom and my dad and I say, I want to do this in my life. And my mom have looked me like, whoa, what you want to do? And yes, I want to do this. So they bring me to the track. I have started racing. I have do Italian championship with the mini moto, with the mini GP, European championship in the mini GP. And now I'm here. So I'm glad for this.
This is season number two here, isn't it?
Yeah. 2 with the 400, 2 in England, because 3 years ago I have do Italian and European Championship in the mini GP, and last year I was with Affinity Sports Academy, first year in England and first year with Supersport. Massive change, but it's alright.
I'm Holly. I've been riding. I've had bikes in my life, like since I was born. Most of the riders in superbikes now I've known since I was a baby. They've known me like as long as I've known my parents. So it's a very big family. I've grown up with a lot of good people on my side. I started actually properly riding at 6 because Fraser, my brother, pushed for it. And so I was always like, I don't want to ride. And then one day I was like, I really want to ride. So I did, and I went quite well for my first time at 6. And went to race at Fab Racing. I did a lot of years there, just with some of the top riders. A lot of them who run in British Talent Cup now have gone to Junior Worlds and places. Scott Ogden, who's now in Grand Prix. Josh Watley is in Grand Prix, who I was friends with when I was in Fab. So growing in a good paddock really from a young age, I did all the classes, through the mini motos to metro kits. I did 50s. So my first year of 50s, I ran quite well. Usually often in top 6, very close to a few podiums, but these riders were very fast. And then I think I got a phone call, can't remember, it was a phone call or an email, but someone offered me a wild card to go and do Spanish Championship in the Hawkers Talent Cup. And I went and did that on 85s, and they gave me a full year out there, which was a good step. So I was really happy I did that because that helped me when I moved into the paddock. And then I moved into doing British Talent Cups, similar sort of bikes. And then I've done 2 years in that, and now I've moved on to Junior Supersport for a bit of a change.
How deep that breath was before she starts. She's looking at, oh, God, it's my turn. Introduce yourself, Scarlett.
I'm Scarlett, and I don't know what else to say. I'm racing Junior Supersport. It's my 3rd year, I think, or like 2nd and a half in the class. I started racing motocross. I started quite late. I've always grown up in the paddock because my dad's sponsored quite a lot of riders. He sponsored
on this podcast.
He sponsors this podcast, yes. He's sponsored Christian Iden, Joe Sheldon Shaw, the girls he's given some money to.
Tell us his company name. Give him a proper shout
out.
The
Fireplace New Mills. Get your wood burning stoves. But yeah, so I've always big up Kev. Yeah, I've grown up around bikes, but I started quite late because obviously when I was in the paddock, I would always see the Motorstar class and stuff. But we didn't really know like that I could get into it. Like obviously I had a massive interest in it, and I've always loved it, watching it and stuff, but I never really knew I could get into it. But Christian Eden said, get her a motocross bike. So we got a 65 when I was like 12 or 13. And I basically just started doing that for fun on practice tracks and stuff around Fat Cats. And then we moved up to an 85. And then like, obviously people in the paddocks, we were still in BSB at this point, like coming to every round, and people basically just said, oh, why don't you like put her on tarmac? So we went and did Supermoto in the British Supermoto Championship. I was in the academy class, and my first year racing there, I got 5th. So we were like, oh, like I could probably do quite well at this. So we stuck at it. Christian said, get her a big bike and send her to BSB. And we were like, whoa, like probably a step too far. So we went to Darley Moor instead, where Jamie and Katie Hand were racing. And in 2019, I think it was the first time in history that there was a female 1-2-3 in the championship. I think at the time it was more like the championship, the win was changing between me and Katie. Sorry. You weren't as
Don't go.
good back then.
We'll get to you in a second. Don't go.
That was when Jamie wasn't faster than me. Bring back those days. But yeah, and then I missed around. Obviously, no, not saying no credit to Katie. She won fair and square, but then we did a wild card at BSB at Knockhill before I was ready. Didn't qualify, but it was a good learning curve. And then from then we've sort of just like, we stuck at club racing, like got better and better. And then halfway through maybe 2020, I think we did a wild card at SNET, met Faye and everything. And then we sort of joined the team when Charlotte was in it. And from then we've just stuck at this championship, and I've got better and better.
I'm Jamie Hanks-Elliott. I'm also racing in Junior Supersport this year. It's my second year at BSB and second year with Faye. Faye picked me up. It's actually a year ago this year. Well, this round. Yeah. That's it.
What was your journey to get here? And don't say M6, M1. Because that's
Well,
your sporting.
Everyone has probably heard this.
Your sporting journey to get here.
So it's kind of difficult to say when I started racing, because my mum used to race. I'm pretty sure she raced when she was pregnant with me and my sister. So if that counts, then I've been racing since I was unborn. But pretty much I've basically got forced into racing because all my family have raced. Like, so it pretty much started with my great granddad, Fred, and he rode sidecars at the TT, and then my granddad did it, Roy Hanks, and then he's done the TT for 50 years as well. And my nan, that's where he met my nan.
Bring that microphone around a bit. That's it.
That's where he met my nan at the TT, and then they both raced together. And then my granddad won it, not with my nan though. And then my nan was the first woman on the podium at the TT as well. And then my mum did it. My mum's over there. She did it with my dad, and she's done it with a few other people as a passenger, because everyone's from a sidecar background. And then I didn't start till I was about 14 because my granddad retired in 2016, and obviously couldn't really focus on me at that point, and I didn't know I wanted to do it. I loved racing. I loved being in the paddock, but I didn't know I wanted to ride. Well, I knew I wanted to. I just didn't know when to start, and I always thought it was a bit scary. So I didn't start till I was about 14. But I went straight onto a 125. I'd never even sat on a. Well, I'd sat on a bike, but I'd never learned how to change gear. So I had to learn on a Aprilia 125 two-stroke. I hated it. I hate two-strokes. So I don't know. I'm sorry. I know everyone's gonna hate me for that, but
purebred two-strokes.
They're all right, but do you know what? To learn on compared to a four-stroke, it just seized all the time, and then it spat me off, and then I've literally had my worst crash going like 20 mile an hour, and it seized up. I don't even remember it. I had a concussion and everything.
The slower ones that hurt more, apparently.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I did Darling Moor for a bit with Scarlett. But to be fair, when I started, I didn't know any girls that raced. I think there was only a couple there even then, and that wasn't even that long ago. And then I went on to, I had a 300, Kawasaki 300. Did a couple like Mallory, Darley,
and then got a 400 and did Thundersport, and then I'm here.